Welcome to the Home Design Mentor channel. I'm California architect Steven Randel. Residential design fascinates me. On today's show, we'll visit Palm Springs, California, that beautiful desert city in Southern California that's full of mid-century modern architecture. Join me and documentary filmmaker and writer Hope Anderson. In this fourth of 5 episodes, we'll visit Donald Wexler's 1962 experimental steel houses, also commissioned by the Alexander Construction Company.
The final architect that we'll take a look at today is Donald Wexler. In 1962, he was hired by the same Alexander Construction Company to start a development in the northern part of Palm Springs. Again, it was intended to be an affordable place for people to buy a house. These ran, in the $17,000, $18,000, $19,000 range, depending on pool and features, and there were options for them. But what happened here is that Wexler decided to use steel frame construction, which was something that was being done widely across Southern California at the time by many mid-century architects. And so they got this development going. They built 7 of these houses. However, after they got this started, the price of steel skyrocketed. It was a sort of corporation political drama that played out between Kennedy and the steel corporations, unfortunately, that put a standstill to this development. They had intended to build 35, but they only built the 7. The Alexanders said it was going to be too expensive to do the rest, but that they wouldn't be affordable anymore, and that's not what they were going for. However, we do have these 7 examples, which I think are marvelous examples of mid-century modern architecture. What's great about these houses that you can see here is how crisp the lines are. It's all steel. There's hardly any wood in these houses whatsoever. Still just as remarkably straight and even as they were from the day they were built. I love that about them. So let's take a little bit closer look at this structure. I want you to see how they put this together. So I've done this model for us here. And what you have here is this carport space, and you can see these posts down the center of it. So our carport is cantilevered, which you can do with the steel so easily right over that carport. And then that belt line that they have, that carport top, it runs right around the whole house and underscores those clear story windows there that are above the belt line beneath this wonderful W-shaped butterfly folded roof form, whatever you want to call it, this accent here to the left that comes off the living room and the glass wall of windows. And these panels, you can see these individual panels are steel that are on the bedrooms at this end of the structure. They both have, there's 2 bedrooms in this particular model. They both have access to this side of the house. And then there's a door there in the center, which went to a bathroom because you want to be able to access a bathroom from the pool area that you have in your backyard. And then he would set this scheme off with a minor stone sort of accent wall in the front of the property. A really remarkably unique piece of architecture that I think is remarkable for the time. So let's take a closer look at how they did this. They have a concrete slab foundation, and then they have this 2-bedroom, 2-bath floor plan. And they made an option, and nobody did this at the time. They're all the 2-bedroom, 2-bath with this central core where the kitchen is. But they gave them an option to add another bedroom and add another bedroom ensuite behind the carport. So you could have a 4-bedroom, 3-bath if you wanted to. And I'm going to go back and show you how they did this. So they were semi-modular, and what Wexler did is he had these prefabricated systems, this central core done, which they would set into place first, shipped to the site, set in place, and then they had the exterior walls built in a factory in Los Angeles, and then shipped to the site and set in place. And then they would come back and start filling in partition walls, drywall for doing the rest of the interior walls. And then they would top that with the roof decking, which is also steel, and then do a roof finish material and gutters on top of that to catch the rain. And this central core here was where the plumbing and the ducting and the mechanical systems ran for these particular houses. Quite an efficient design for the time. As I said, they finished off their roof configuration, and then they added these wonderful trusses to create these steel trusses and clerestory windows to create this very unique roof form that goes over the living room spaces of this particular design. So they had three different roof configurations planned for this development, and the other roof form was this flat roof form. There was a gable roof form which they never built, but here's an example of one of the other flat roof forms that you can see, and you can see how the flat roof form sort of extends over that wall of windows there to the left. You see that short stone wall, which is the accent to contrast the steel that he used in the landscape. And of course, our carport. Our carport here does not have the center post, but it does have posts on the four ends to the steel structure. Here is another example of that same house. The carport's set back. Again, the variation of the carport made a little bit of a difference, and the carport is set slightly back from the main body of the house. You see that wall of windows there to the right, and our low stone wall. This particular stone, this green stone, is quite rare around here. I still have not found out where they got that stone. It had to have been something probably within Riverside County, California, where we're located around here, that he got that. It's actually a beautiful stone, but rarely used, or I've seen it rarely used anyway. But kind of a nice contrast to that steel structure that you see here. And then here's an example of, this is the other one that was done with this interesting butterfly roof form. This particular house was significantly modified, probably in the 70s, 80s, maybe 90s. And it had another carport built in front of that carport, and it had wrought iron on it, and it was just a mess. So what somebody has done here is it's under renovation, and they're taking it back to its original state, which is a good thing. Palm Springs has many examples of architecture that's been altered over the years, and people are now taking it back to the original state. What's interesting about this is that in the 90s, if you came to Palm Springs and you wanted to buy something, it was very cheap. I know that these houses were going for, anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000 at the time, and now they're worth somewhere between. If they're fixed up, they're worth somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000. So quite a difference in just 20 years in price. The last house here I want to show you, which is very interesting. At the same time Wexler was doing that development for the Alexanders, he was designing a house for the actress and singer Dinah Shore in the very beautiful old Las Palmas neighborhood of Palm Springs. He designed this 7,000 square foot, very lavish estate on over an acre, has its own tennis court, swimming pool. It's about 7,000 square feet. But you can see similarities here. The masonry material is called slump stone. It's something that we see in the Southwest. It's not used that often. It's a little bit softer, of sort of a mud brick type of material, brick material, masonry material. But it looks really good contrasting with the steel in this example, I think. And what's interesting about this house is that Leonardo DiCaprio bought this house, I believe, in 2014. As far as I know, he still owns it. They do rent it. You can rent it. The last I checked, the going rate for this was about $4,500 per night. So I don't know what the situation is right now with it, but maybe someday you can come to Palm Springs and rent Donald Wexler's Dinah Shore Leonardo DiCaprio home with some friends, right? Pool that money together and you can do it. So today, what I've shown you here is a sampling of 4 different houses of 4 different developments, and kind of giving you a way to think of architecture in context of what expresses architecture. It's historical context. What we're talking about today is all mid-century modern design. And what's interesting about this is that the term mid-century modern is not something that entered the lexicon until the late 1990s. I mean, I know growing up, my mother called these houses contemporary. That's what we called them. You either said it's modern or it's contemporary. So that term is sort of a what would you call it? A throwback. It's a term coined later to refer to a period of time there when this kind of design was done not only for architecture, but in cars and furniture and fashion. It was a whole era that went and is defined unto itself. But in our Neutra house here on the upper left, its most interesting part that I think about this house is its composition. This wonderful spiraling floor plan that comes out and this gentle sloping site and that beautiful swimming pool space that we took a look at. I think it's a remarkable example of architecture and how Neutra solved the site. It is as I said, it's one of the most iconic Southern California houses of all time. And then we have our Edris house here on the upper right that we looked at in the second video with designed by Stewart Williams. And that house is, again, the organic modern. It's springing up out of the landscape, almost disguised in a way, but then it shoots off with that wonderful wedge-shaped roof form that flies off of the house into the sky. A fantastic use of form. Then on the lower left here, we have our Krisel design, this mid-century modern house that is all about the fenestration, the windows, those clear-story windows. When you're inside these houses, you look out and you see those incredible views of Palm Springs in the distance. And then in our last example, we have this marvelous experimental steel construction that Donald Wexler used here in this house, and the marvelous steel details and that detail of that wonderful folded W-shaped butterfly roof that you see there. And you can see, if you look closely there, you can see the small steel trusses that hold up those steel panels that then make up the top of the roof form. Remarkable architecture, all of it. And that's why I wanted to show you all of this today. This is something that I love. I've loved it ever since I was a little kid. This is my passion. It never gets old for me, and it never will. So thank you for listening. I'm so glad that you came to visit us today. Thank you so much.
I'm grateful to have had the chance to share my passion with your listeners. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Follow me on my websites and YouTube channel and social media accounts. Cheers, my friends.